Now we will move to the panel discussing the careers beyond academia. So let me just, so we have Siddharth Supporti. We have Ivan, John Philip. Ivan, you're there? Yeah, nice to see you. We have Sudeshna Dasgupta. If you can someone just say, because there are so many participants, I'm not able to see.
I'm just checking. She was there earlier. Yeah, she's there. Sudeshna, can you unmute?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And do we have Viraj? Viraj Thakkar?
Yeah, I'm there.
You're there? Stephan, Siddharth, Sudeshna, and Viraj. Yeah. So let's start this segment. So first, a very brief introduction about yourself. And then we have the questions which has been shared in the Google folder. I will go through it, and participants are encouraged to type in the questions so that I can take them with the panelist. So Siddharth, want to start?
Hi, I'm Siddharth Supporti. I work as a machine learning engineer in Deepfence. It is a cloud native security platform where I take up the entire work of machine learning, designing things, code, and basis. Before coming to Deepfence, I was also a machine learning engineer in Cisco, again in California Bay Area. And there I also did data science heavy machine learning. I took network packets and did the world of machine learning in that. And thing is, before entering into the sector of industry machine learning, I did my PhD in computational astrophysics in Carnegie Mellon University. And alongside my PhD in astrophysics, I also got interested in machine learning on the way. So I pursued a master's in machine learning from Carnegie Mellon University. I should give all of the credit for the work that I did in Carnegie Mellon University and beyond to the great teaching I have got in IISER from all the good professors and these things, which has been a very good learning experience for me. So 5 years in an IISER, so they have shaped my future and all these things. So yeah, so that is entirety of my introduction.
Thank you. Then Sudeshna.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Professor Mohanty and the organizers for the invitation. And good evening, everyone. So I know that this event is planned for specifically the researchers from the eastern and northeastern states of India. And I too come from one of the northeastern states, Tripura. And I just wanted to say this because I feel very much connected. So I have done my PhD in experimental high energy physics from TIFR. And currently I'm working as an assistant managing editor at Cactus Communications. So to say very briefly about Cactus, so we in Cactus, we aim to help researchers around the world publish their research, and we offer various services and solutions for research communication and promotion. And we offer these services to individual researchers, universities, publishers, and pharmaceutical and medical device companies. So I wouldn't go into any further details here because we are already running short of time. But you all are very welcome to explore our website cactusglobal.com to know much more about the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Stephan, Edward.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, I'm Stephan. I did my master's from IISER, where Vedanta's, yeah, he was actually a dean back then, or HOD. Well, after that, I did my PhD in experimental ultra-fast physics in Amsterdam. And 5 years doing that, I moved to bit south of Netherlands in a company called ASML. They make these giant machines that make computer chips. So I work in the research department, tiny organization. The company is 30,000 people. We are like 100 people doing research for the next 10 years to come. I work with high power lasers. That's what I did in my PhD. And luckily I get to do the same even now. That's mostly it.
Thank you, Stephan. Now, Ivan, would you?
Hello, I'm Ivan. I did my master's at IISER with Vedanta sir in nuclear physics. I've had an interesting trajectory. I did my PhD at Stony Brook University in New York in theoretical condensed matter physics. After that, I did 1 year postdoc at Brookhaven National Laboratory in quantum computing. And at the moment, I work as a quantum algorithm developer at Pasqal. Pasqal is which makes neutral atom based quantum computers. I work on the algorithm side, doing coding, and I think I'm also kind of lucky in that I'm still able to do physics, even though I'm working in the industry, and I really enjoy that. And I owe a lot to NICER, so I'm glad to get this invite and be back here.
Thank you, Ivan. Now, Viraj.
Yeah, I'm Viraj. So I graduated from NICER in 2019 and was fortunate enough to do my master's project with Professor Mohanty. After that, I was like motivated towards doing data science. So I did a master's in data science at New York University in New York. Currently, I'm working as a data science for a company called Tenaska, which is like a electricity and like natural gas provider company. We kind of work on things related to optimization and like predicting the pricing using machine learning models. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's then get started from the set of questions. The first thing is, how does one get aware of job opportunities beyond academia? And can you give some suggestions based on your experience? Any one of you could start and others can add. Anyone? Sudeshna?
Okay, maybe I'll go first. So I did not have any idea of careers outside academia up until I think 1.5 years ago. But the thing is, when you are in a PhD and when you do not consider careers outside, very often we are completely clueless of what are the opportunities available outside. It is possible to educate oneself on these things, but you have to put in some effort. It will not come automatically. You have to do things that you are usually not very comfortable doing, like just going up to people who work in the industry and talking to them about it. And also LinkedIn helped tremendously. Having internet is a great resource now. So I was able to learn a lot about it in maybe a year or so. But I think the main message is that it is not something that will come automatically during your PhD or postdoc. And you really have to make an effort to do it and step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, anyone wants to add to this?
So
Yeah.
go on.
Sorry. Okay.
I'll just
Yeah.
follow up.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So I think as Ivan mentioned, LinkedIn is a very good platform to look out for job opportunities in the industry. But before doing that, I think like industrial positions are very skill specific, right? They won't be directly related to the research someone has done in the PhD and or postdoc, but those will be related to some very specific skill set that one acquires as part of the research. So first of all, we need to determine that, like exactly which skill set I would focus on to build a long-term career, right? Because I won't be interested to work on everything that I have done in my PhD, but I would have figured that, okay, I like doing this and therefore I would feel like doing this for the rest of my life. So first of all, it's very important to figure out that area of interest, and then one can try to get acquainted with all the state-of-the-art knowledge in that field, because whether it's in academia or industry, it is very important to stay up to date, because only then people will value you, right? So so once you are you have reached that level, then you can as Ivan mentioned, you can try reaching out to people whom that are in similar positions, and of course you can search online, you can look out on LinkedIn, which is a very good platform. That's all from me. Thank you.
Siddharth?
So excellent points by Evan and Sudeshna after that. So I'll answer the question in two parts. First is an amalgamation of things that Evan and Sudeshna mentioned. It's about, for example, imagine someone who's just graduated with a master's or a PhD from academia. Thing is, the first idea is a single phrase, casting the net wide, breadth first. For example, machine learning, data science these days, we know. These are like huge words, and the net is very wide. Industry needs a very specific part of that. But for someone who's just starting out, I would say learning things in like breadth first, different kinds of machine learning, having like some kind of exposure to all kinds of machine learning before we go into the sector. And then we stay there for a couple of years or so. And then as Sudeshna mentioned, the depth first, that comes. So we go in depth into a field, for example, natural language processing or computer vision. Then we can start to focus on a single point. But that is an excellent point, to be at a preparatory phase. Before we start reaching out, LinkedIn is a very nice resource. Many of us are researchers also, which is actually a boon, because even alongside LinkedIn, there are very many forums these days, which are very helpful. For example, conferences like NeurIPS. People get jobs like alongside their posters. If the poster is really good and they're able to explain, let's say, to a representative from Google or Facebook, they call themselves Meta these days. It's very easy to schedule a 15 minutes introductory call, having the first round of interview done, and then the next week one has whatever big package one has for that. So many resources are there. So LinkedIn is a very good resource for cold calling. And then also as researchers, publishing of papers and these things. So people actually do reach out on LinkedIn. So yeah, these are things I wanted to add.
I see. So Stephan, one other question related to this is people sometimes want jobs, not in academia, but where they can further their research interest. Like once you got a chance, how does one get such opportunities? If you could share your experience of, yeah.
So I would say that's a bit easier when your research doesn't need millions of euros to fund. So let's say quantum computing or data science and those sort of stuff, it's probably a bit easier. But I did a bit of a cheating to be here, which is my PhD already had an industrial partner. And I'm actually working with the same industrial partner. So in some sense, yeah, that's a bit of a cheating to get a job. And don't really look for exact one-to-one what you did in your PhD. Look for transferable skills, what you learn in your PhD, or transferable interest. What you learn in your PhD or what you interest in your PhD, can you apply them elsewhere in an industrial setting? That's more to look out for rather than a one-to-one thing. I mean, if you get lucky with a one-to-one, great. But honestly, it's a lot of chances and doesn't depend a lot on your talent or anything. It's just being at the right place at the right time to get that one-to-one mapping.
I see.
But the takeaway is transferable skills is basically one thing you should keep in mind.
I see. So Viraj, one question which is common among several participants is how does one prepare one CV for such job? I mean, it's different from academia, which we are used to. Yeah, your views.
Yeah, so one simple thing I would like to say is what you could actually start doing today is you should make your CV in such a way that, let's say, if you are to forget your memory tomorrow and you want to know yourself as compared to what skills you have or what things you can do. And if you read your CV, you should be able to almost catch everything that you could possibly do. So that is the best one-liner explanation I can give. Other than that, as people have pointed out, LinkedIn is a very good tool. And also it helps that, let's say, if you don't know exactly what job you can possibly do, if you're doing a PhD or a postdoc in physics, you certainly have, believe me, a lot of skills that are used in industries. What you can do is just like very briefly explain the projects or whatever experiences, internships you have done over the course of your academic career. But try to explain it in a way in which it shows the skills that are used in the industry, and not little bit like focus less on the science part and more on the like the tools and technology and the kind of skills you use. So what that does is that LinkedIn actually helps you find the type of people who have skills similar to you, and the jobs that they are applying for, you will get suggested with the same jobs. So it can be really helpful if you just keep your LinkedIn profile and also your CV up to date.
I see. Sudeshna, you want to add something to this?
Not much actually. Viraj has covered it already very well, but just wanted to say that, like, as we have already discussed, that all industrial positions are very skill specific. So we should always keep in mind that the CV reflects this. So instead of focusing on a long list of publications or a conference presentations, we should be focusing to highlight all the skills that are useful for that job, and also to tailor the CV for that specific job.
I see.
Yeah. That's it.
Siddharth, how does one face the interviews for such job? Any tips or any suggestions, experience?
That's a really good question. So interview for such jobs, and we are talking about interview for non-academic jobs. Firstly, non-academic fields are like very much these days. I'll answer the question from the perspective of machine learning data science, which I've known, and then we can take commonality elements to other fields as well. Firstly, this is the best era we live to diversify. So I have seen my friends who are lawyers who come to machine learning, and a little bit of vice versa as well. First thing is doing background research about what position are we wanting to apply in. Specifically these days, there are like so many online opportunities. For example, for someone to go from position of being a lawyer, or in my case, from a physics PhD to machine learning, it's about finding what resources do we want to hone ourselves in. For machine learning, I can say that one thing is that to be a good machine learning engineer, one also needs to be a good software engineer. So taking basic elements of that and the things that we need to know about data structures, algorithms, there are a lot of resources. If I was to imagine someone who goes to another field, then the key idea is that not to be afraid of stepping out of one's comfort zone, what one has been trained in, to take common elements from what one's training has given to one, and then taking the new things and not being afraid to apply to a new position. And when we like apply for, let's say, 10 jobs, 2 or 3 definitely click. Yeah.
Ivan, how does one handle interviews?
I don't have a lot of practice with interviews, to be honest. I gave a few for this round, and this is my first job. I've only been on this for a couple of months. That said, I think one thing we need to practice is people in industry communicate a little differently from people in academia. So we need to practice a little bit, specifically to be more in academia. We try to be very precise with everything we say at all times, give all the conditions, all caveats, and only say things if we are 100% correct. That's usually not how people in industry communicate. So that difference is something I had to practice and get used to a little bit.
Okay, Stephan, anything you want to add? Yeah.
I would answer it from a point of view where I was taking the interview of people, and in that case, what you really look for is communication skills, because in big companies and even in small companies, you don't do things alone as you would do in a PhD. You're probably talking to 20 people. A day, I end up talking to 10, 20 people, and communication skill comes really, really, really important. So how you can communicate with people, and how confident you are, how outgoing you are, and how proactive you are in taking up a job or a task comes important. And you need to reflect that in your interview. So come as shallow when I say this, but talk a bit loud about yourself. That helps.
I see. Viraj, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I guess I can certainly say something from like a data science perspective. So I would say that the interviewers won't exactly like ask you to like remember everything. They just want to test your ability, that if you are given a job or some work, you would be able to, like, you would be independent enough to go out and somehow figure it out how to do it. So it's not that like you need to know everything, but you definitely need to have your basic skills very well done.
Sudeshna, one question which our participants would like to know is how difficult, easy is it to find jobs within India, non-academia jobs, and those in India, how easy or difficult it is to get abroad from India in non-academia jobs.
Yeah, I think the opportunities are slowly opening up. I mean, the trend has already started abroad, and I know quite a few people who have done few postdocs and then moved to some industrial positions. And the same trend I feel has already started in India, but albeit at a much lower scale. But I mean, we can expect it to only improve with time. And also, I think I'd like to mention one thing that has happened post-COVID, especially that a lot of companies are willing to offer this remote work option, which was not existing in the pre-COVID days. Right. So considering that also, I mean, I think some companies are now so flexible that they are allowing employees to work out of anywhere in India. Right, as long as someone suits the job profile, they'll take the person and they can work out from anywhere in India, and they really don't need to relocate to any other city. So yeah, I think these trends are very encouraging, and we can only hope to see a lot more improvement in the coming days.
Okay. Siddharth, suppose somebody gets a job, does usually one negotiate salary? And if so, at what stage?
So it's always a good thing to negotiate, to be in a position where one can negotiate salary. So the best thing is that when we apply for jobs, it's always best to apply for multiple job positions at the same time. And if one is in a good position, then one has multiple job offers at the same time. That is where one is in the best position to negotiate for salaries. So playing one versus other sound as it may be, but that's the best way to negotiate for salaries. Second thing is that when one has only one offer, thing is just doing proper background research. So again, we are in a very good position now where we know what a PS are being offered. Simple things like levels.f.fyi. That's a very good resource in our tech industry. LinkedIn is a good resource, but things have overtaken that. Levels.fyi is much better. So if one has a single job position, one can talk to one's recruiter. It's always very good to go through one's recruiter, talking about one's expectations. At the very first stage, one can say it very politely, this is what I'm expecting, but don't want anything to be a deal breaker. Let me go through the interview process. Where one aces it, then one can be a little bit more confident in saying that, okay, I think I have my family I want to take care of. So how about we raise $50,000 more?
I see. Viraj, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, exactly what Siddharth said, especially if you have like multiple offers and especially there are some of them are with a deadline. Also, I think like Glassdoor is a good resource to check what is like the average salary because salaries depend city-wise, and the recruiters know that some cities are more expensive to live in with like your rent and everything considered. And also your years of experience matter. So usually if you're, let's say if you're kind of switching jobs, you would probably be looking to go for a job which pays, let's say like 20% more than the salary that you're already having. So yeah, all these are factors.
I see. One question, Ivan, is does PhD and postdoc experience or publications count as putting you at a seniority level in a company, or they just start afresh from ground zero?
I think it really depends on the industry, and I cannot speak for all industries, but in the field I'm in, I'm working on quantum computation. Everybody I work with has a PhD in physics, at least in my group. So it definitely matters. And also the seniority of the position would depend on how much experience, not so much on your number of publications or its impact factor. They are not that, yeah, but in my case, what they did is they gave me a task, and depending on how well I was able to perform that task, my initial position was determined. So it does matter, but it's not so much about how long the list is or what your impact factor is. Yeah.
Stephan, Yeah.
I would say the publication list matters whether you have 0 or 2 or 20. I would say once you see more than 2 or 3 in a PhD, nobody cares beyond that. That's my feeling. And yeah, if you do postdocs, maybe it adds value if what you're going to apply for a job requires that specific skill. Otherwise, I would not recommend doing multiple postdoc for sure. But people use a postdoc as a bridge between academia to industry. That's perfect. And yeah,
I think I agree with Stephen on that completely. Postdocs didn't seem to be valued a lot, not as much as one would expect.
I see. Thanks, Stephen, for answering that patent related question on the chat. Sudeshna, there are two questions there. How to find industrial opportunities in India? Is there some forum? And what's the best approach way to approach an industry regarding outcome of your research?
About the first question, I think that's already partly answered, that we should look out online and on platforms like LinkedIn, and if we know someone, we should reach out to them to know about any available positions. And about the second question, I'm not sure what is meant by outcome of research. I mean, is it meant that like how to
translate the research which somebody is doing into applications?
Yeah, then once again, we will need to focus on trying to match our research with that job profile, because finally the employee will be interested in hiring someone who will fit to that job profile. So if we want to get that job, we will need to make sure that we are projecting ourselves in a way that meets their requirements. So basically to make them understand that, yes, I know what you want. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Now, a few things on the policy. Siddharth, and your views on institutes like IISER, NICERS, or ISC or TIFR not having campus interviews for PhD hired by corporations, or if you are, what do you think? It's a good thing to do as for engineering graduates to think about this and start maybe?
Yeah, so on my part, short answer would be, it would be a really nice thing to have. So given that, and we had related questions, questions like at the earlier part of our entire discussion, where we had talked about having large number of PhDs now. So with large number of PhDs, we'll have large number of interests also. So short answer is yes, it will be a really nice thing to have. So long answer would be here. So the onus for that relies on students as well, and them taking the conversation to professors and the university institute functions as a whole. So once this the seed of that, start of that is the biggest thing which is needed. Once students and universities, they make this effort to bring companies in, and that is not the story done completely, because then companies want to see if the people they are interviewing, if the institute is actually giving them good results. And if they see it year after year for a sequence of 4 or 5 years, I think then they'll start getting interested in coming on their own volition. But again, the activation energy for that starts from students bringing the conversations to people higher up in the faculty, the university, and then sustaining it for 3 or 4 years and giving good results. So companies, they're very focused. They want to see good value for their recruiters coming to the campus.
Ivan, you want to add on this discussion?
I think he added a very, he summarized it very well. It would be a good thing to have in short. But I think it would also help because we would be more exposed to how the industry operates, because one of the challenges I faced when I was trying to switch was I didn't know anything about how things outside academia work. So if we have things like campus interviews, I think people would have more exposure to this to begin with. And that would only help in general.
I see. One other question, Stephan, is can one also consider having some training or promoting startups in various institutes. The entire concept of startup is sometimes not clear among the students or postdocs, and the kind of support needed, level of risk. So what do you think, what you have seen outside?
I can answer from a point of view of Europe. I'm pretty sure it's different in India, so I would refrain my comments for that. Here it's actually sort of encouraged to have every university have a bunch of startups. They have an area or containers, the shipping containers where you can start your own offices and small startups. And it's sort of easy that in your PhD, whatever you did, you think you can commercialize it, your group lead or your supervisor encourages you to do a startup, and they become a part of it. And I would say a good number of group leads or the supervisor professors in Europe, in universities, are part of CEOs, CTOs of startups, and which probably sells very few unique instruments which is related to their field, but they're still part of it. That's encouraged, and probably that's something I feel at this point is missing in India, but I could be wrong. But that's something, yeah, it's worth getting a sort of encouragement or funding from the institutes.
Sudeshna, you want to add from Indian perspective on this one?
No, sorry, I don't have much idea about startups. So yeah, I wouldn't want to add anything here.
Then I have a question to the panelist. At appropriate time, you give me the time.
Yeah. I just, this is the last one. So Viraj, you want to say anything about the startups and getting it going in institutes and universities?
Yeah, actually, I would also like to make a comment on the previous question that you are discussing. So I can only talk about the master's degree in physics. So I would just like to give an example. So we all know probability and statistics, right? We have taken courses in physics and mathematics, but the only, like, I would like to point a difference that when I took a probability and statistics course, like in NYU, obviously I knew all the theory very well because I had studied them very well in IISER. It's just that there was a lot more focus on how to use these concepts, like of say statistics, let's say hypothesis testing, t-test or something, in terms of like real life scenarios. So I think our syllabus is somewhat maybe not focusing a lot on that part. Yeah, of course, we definitely need to understand the theory. But if we could like maybe focus like a couple of questions on them, then people who are like, eventually if they start to kind of search for jobs or somewhat start to look out of industry, I think it will really help them in that.
Okay. Yeah, Professor Panda, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, very good. I am just, it's not any question, but it's a friendly discussion, knowing that at least 3 of my panelists are from my institute. So I need to understand something for myself, for future of my institute. A couple of questions, couple of things I need to understand. One, you did your PhD, you did at that time where your supervisor told you what to do. Maybe some of you told your supervisor, I want to do this, okay? And similarly, might have also postdoc, but then the PI of the postdocs would have told you that, okay, this is my program, get engaged with this. Only thing I know that from my experience that, but after I get through my PhD and postdoc, when I get job as a faculty, I am my boss of myself. I will frame my problems. I will work on that, or I will ask my students to do on that. But now that you people have joined industry, how much freedom you have, or always your boss tells you, do this, and you will be doing this. Can you please tell me? My daughter is in industry, and I know she is being told that do this. I want to know and what you would have liked to enjoy, to be your own boss, or you have to be always a boss.
Yeah. Anyone?
I would like to get your opinion.
Yeah.
So Professor Panda, is the question when you mentioned the word boss in the second context of a job, is it like for boss in one's present job or the previous advisor from PhD or postdoc?
No, PhD postdoc, you will have boss. You have no freedom.
Yes.
That is our
Yes.
system. That's the
Yes.
universal system. But
Yes.
once you get a permanent job in academia, you are your
Yes.
boss. No one tells you what to do. That you know,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
No, I never say Vedang what to do,
Yes.
or any of my faculty what to do.
Yes.
They decide what
Yes.
they should do. And
Yes.
the day you would have become a faculty, the same situation would have come to you. You would have decided what you want to do. You would have formulated your problems in physics or whatever subject you are, and you would have guided students or postdoc that way. So the boss is you.
Yes.
But at present that now you have joined an industry, as I have learned from my daughter, there is a boss always tell what to do. So
Yes.
how do you would have liked, you always like to be, you should have a boss to tell you what to do, or you would like to be your own boss some days?
That's a really good question. If I could
Please
attempt
go
an
ahead and
this.
answer. I would like to have all of your experience from that, so that
Yes.
I will plan from my institute what people are telling, placement setter, get the industry, etc. Of course, I will take the help of my faculty to prepare the students for industry. And
Yeah.
maybe I will like them that in every course, they should have one semester, one course for industrial application if I want my students to get into industry. Instead of worrying about the country does not do this, country does not do that.
Yeah.
I would like to do that.
So,
But I would like to know from you what you enjoy.
yes, Siddharth.
Suppose you are doing a postdoc, after 2-3 years, you would have become your own boss.
Yeah. So Siddharth, what is the situation? I mean, what you would ideally like? Of course, there is salary, there is other things, all things are.
Keep salary, etc.
Yeah. So Siddharth,
Keep salary,
what's your take on this? And let's just go around this.
Yeah. So specific answer to Professor Panda's question is that given in industry, as he rightfully said, there is always a boss. The manager is the boss, and manager always wants the person, his employees, people under his managership to bring value to the team, or that translates to money to the team or money to the company, depending on how it is. And this thing is especially important in early stages of joining the industry, the first few phases. So long as one does not diversify, become a director at some point, like let's say after 8 or 10 years, or starts one own startup, as Stephan very rightfully said. But then again, one is never outside of any boss ownership, because even one is CEO, one is answerable to one's investors. I have seen CEOs being shifted and lose their jobs in my companies just because they could not bring tens of millions of dollars, which was the aim in a particular quarter. Regarding what I would have enjoyed, I mean, it would be hypocritical of me to say that I do not enjoy where I'm in, but had, as Professor Panda rightfully said, if one pursues the path of patience, postdoc, and then becomes a professor, tenure track professor, then one is one's own boss. One does things more freely. For my personality, when I have my own freedom, that is when I enjoy things more. I enjoy things now also, but as Professor Mohanty said, there's money also, so those two things balance each other.
Yeah. So Sudeshna, any brief comments on this?
Yes, so I just wanted to say that I think the concept is similar both in academia and industry, because I believe in academia also one would need to report to someone, to their boss at the end of the day, like after 1 year or after 5 years, that what was the outcome of the research that you were doing. So the same thing applies in industry, but I think in a lot more structured manner and at a shorter time scale. So for example, if my boss tells me that, okay, we are seeing a decline in quality of our service, so what we can do to improve it by say this much percentage in the next 6 months, and then I'll need to propose a plan, and then I'll need to report to them at the end of 6 months that how much that has worked out. So I think, I mean, that is the very broad difference, but I think the concept is the same in both the cases.
Stephan,
is it really true?
Stephan, we just.
I think I'll give 2 answers. The general answer would be like, in Europe, at least, the academia is not as free as what you think, what generally people perceive, because the group leaders or PIs are supposed to write funding or grant proposals on topics where you get funding. So the government decides where you want the research to go. So in the end, you will actually, it's sort of limited, but with, yeah, it's more, you have more freedom than industry for sure, but it's a bit overrated when you say that, okay, yeah, there is a lot more freedom in academia. And personally, for me, I talk to 5 to 10 universities within Europe on a bi-weekly basis, where we write grant proposal to the EU a couple of times a year. So yeah, personally, I can choose, I as in 3-4 of us can choose which group to collaborate with and what research need to be done, promising that the company will make millions in 10 years from now. So yeah, so personally, I don't see that as a constraint, but generally I would say, yeah, it is a bit more constrained. Even in academia, it's getting even more and more constrained. India still remains an exception where the government funds for fundamental research, and that I believe is not going to last long if I see the trajectory of where the Western government's funding is going. When I say future, I'm talking 10 or 20 years from now.
Ivan?
I think Stephen brought out a very interesting point. I don't have direct experience with this, but I heard exactly what he said from my friends who are in academia in the US and Europe. They don't really feel like they have a lot of freedom. They feel like they are chasing the money. But I'm glad to hear that India is not yet like that. And on the other hand, I just want to mention one thing. It might be because I'm working on quantum computing and the field is so new. Research, self-directed research is allowed even in industry, in some fields. Like in my case, I am working on 2 projects and one of them is completely up to me. But like half my time is devoted to open research that I decide. But the major difference, which nobody ever asked me before in academia, is they asked me to write down before I started, when will you decide that you have tried this for long enough that you are going to stop doing this? I had to come up with a plan before I started the research when I am going to give up on that. So that was an interesting exercise, but provided I came up with a plan on when I have when would I decide that this is too much effort in this topic, they were open to allow me to continue working on that.
I see. Okay, Viraj, any quick points?
Yeah, I kind of agree a little bit with Professor Panda that you will be your own boss in academia, and obviously no way we are kind of diminishing the importance of academia, because obviously without academia no technology developments or research can progress. It's just that like if some people they feel like they can longer continue to keep on walking the path of a PhD or postdoc. It's just that they shouldn't be they shouldn't get scared to kind of go outside of the academia bubble. They shouldn't feel like they are not worth anything, because believe me, they are worth a lot. The kind of skills you learn during your academia, the kind of I will say intensive work routine you go through, I think such people can definitely do very well in industry. It's just that they just need to develop some skills and get some experience. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. We are actually running out of time. I'm sorry. It's interesting discussion. Okay, so just a very quick one, maybe Siddharth, you want to take on the chat. What fraction of your time goes in communication versus active value production?
On present industry, I presume the question is framed.
Yeah.
So fraction of time which goes in communication, I would put it at across different cross-continental teams, somewhere between 8 to 15%, because we want everyone to be in sync. And then value production that includes like getting of proper money and also justifying why I'm paid the salary which I'm getting paid, that would be 80 to 85%. Writing good codes, making sure that there are no bugs, that would be 80+%.
Sudeshna, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it in my job, it's on a bit of higher side. So I would say around maybe 20 to 25% in communication. But also in general, nowadays, there is a conscious effort to at least cut down on the time in meetings and at least not to push things on email so that we can cut down on the time spent on meetings at least.
Okay, it was real fun talking to you all and sharing these questions of the participant with you. So thank you again for giving your time, staying up early, Siddharth and Viraj, Ivan, Stephan and Sudeshna. Thank you very much.
From my side, I thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting.
Spend this, arrange all these things and doing it and bringing my institute's name to the main forum. And that's what his job. And I don't think it's my institute. I slowly start thinking that it is his institute, he should worry, and not me. But I like all of these panelists, and I asked some questions. They might be stupid, but I wanted to know for myself that how are you feeling to your own boss or take order from your boss. I got my answer, and possibly after going home, I will call on my daughter and tell that I had my few other panelists who also agree with you what you are doing. I'm sorry.
Those were very good, excellent questions in both, excellent interventions in both the panel discussions. So, thank you. So we have one more round.
Best of luck. Yeah. And I will request Vedant, we should do something irrespective of IPA or not. If we can develop this program at least once in a semester.
Yeah, we will discuss about it.
Yeah, we'll discuss about it. I really feel it's going to be some 8:40.
Yeah. There is one more small short session there about feedback to IPA.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I will catch up.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Over to then Vijay. Thanks all panelists, both the panelists, our sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.